Trump and Putin finally meet at G20 after US President tweets they have much to discuss. President Donald Trump got closer to his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin than ever on Friday when the two men met backstage at the G20 meeting. The German government captured the ordinarily hidden handshakes and backslaps by mounting a video camera on top of an official photographer's camera. Trump is seen shaking Vlad's hand rightie-to-rightie, and using his left hand to pat the underside of Putin's arm. European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker, facing them from the other side of a cocktail table, leans obliviously while the two men appear to chuckle at a private joke. The surprising gesture was more familiar than anything else shown on the 40-second video clip, which was first published on Facebook. When Putin greets UK Prime Minister Theresa May, for instance, the handshake is formal, curt, and respectful, with the leaders bowing to each other slightly. But when Trump comes up to the same table to see Putin, the how do you do is more congenial, the stuff of fishing buddies or bowling teammates. In a later clip, Trump is shown extending his left arm to pat Putin's back while he smiles broadly. Until Thursday, the two men had reportedly never met. Trump is trying to establish a rapport with Putin, one White House aide said Friday, in the hope that the two men can reach a détente and avoid a new Cold War. But the US president's critics warn that Putin, a former KGB spymaster, is a master of manipulation who can meet every Trump volley with an overhand smash. The footage was shot during the leaders' retreat, an informal gathering before the more consequential meetings that form the basis of G20 policy discussions. Trump and his colleagues will remain in Hamburg until Saturday. He earlier tweeted that he had much to discuss with the Russian leader. I look forward to all meetings today with world leaders, including my meeting with Vladimir Putin. Much to discuss, Trump wrote, adding the hashtag USA and an American flag emoji. Friday's much anticipated encounter in Hamburg, Germany, comes at a pivotal time in US-Russian relations. Trump will be closely watched to see if he confronts Putin over Russia's meddling in the 2016 presidential election. Ahead of the G20 summit's start, Trump vowed to fight for U.S. interests, despite the fake news media he claims covers him inaccurately. I will represent our country well and fight for its interests. Fake news media will never cover me accurately, but who cares? We will #MAGA, he tweeted ahead of the G20 summit, where he will meet with world leaders. The president arrived Friday morning after most of his international counterparts, shaking hands with German Chancellor Angela Merkel with a friendly "How are you?" greeting. Merkel, as the host leader, greeted every head of state personally on a red carpet as camera shutters clicked. She got kisses on the cheek from European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker, European Council President Donald Tusk, Italian Prime Minister Paolo Gentiloni, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and French President Emmanuel Macron. After 15 leaders had arrived, an announcer said the welcome proceedings were over. Merkel exited but came back several minutes later to greet Trump, South Korean President Moon Jae-in and Chinese President Xi Jinping. Trump clasped Merkel on the shoulder as they both disappeared inside the G20 meeting room. During a brief photo call at the top of the leaders' retreat, Trump was seated between Merkel and UK Prime Minister Theresa May. While May chatted with the US President, Merkel faced away from them and chatted with Macron. The room, a cavernous sea of bright yellow carpet, put at least 50 feet of distance between Trump and Putin, who was seated a quarter of the way around the giant circle. But the two men did meet and shake hands and greeted each other warmly. They shook each other's hand and said that they would soon hold a separate meeting, would soon see each other, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told a conference call with reporters. When asked if Putin was looking forward to the talks and whether he had lots of questions for Trump, Peskov said he did. U.S. lawmakers and federal investigators are continuing to look into Russia's election interference, along with possible collusion between Trump campaign associates and Russian government officials. Russia has been accused by 4 U.S. intelligence agencies of interfering in the national election that hoisted Trump to power last year. That puts Trump under intense scrutiny over how he handles the sit-down with Putin, a former Russian intelligence agent known to come well prepared to meetings like this. Trump said at a news conference in Poland on Thursday that Russia could have interfered in the 2016 presidential campaign, but he's not convinced that it was the sole meddler. "I think it was Russia, and it could have been other people in other countries," Trump said. "Nobody really knows." He added that the U.S. intelligence community has made high-profile mistakes in the past, so nobody really knows for sure. Trump sought to redirect any scrutiny toward his predecessor, Barack Obama, accusing him of allowing Moscow to meddle on his watch. Though the Obama administration warned Russia publicly and privately before Election Day to stop interfering, questions have since been raised about whether the office holder acted aggressively enough to stop the threat. "They say he choked." "Well, I don't think he choked," Trump said. "I think he thought Hillary Clinton was going to win the election, and he said, 'Let's not do anything about it.'" Trump said the CIA had informed Obama about the hacking months before the election but added that mistakes have been made. In Putin, Trump sees a potential ally in the war on radicalism in the Middle East. The Republican president and his administration have held off on slapping Moscow with new sanctions as they assess Putin's willingness to work with the U.S. to defeat ISIS and remove Bashar al-Assad from power in Syria. Experts on Putin have said it is Trump who should be worried that the Russian president will try to earn concessions. Putin, like other world leaders who have Trump's number, is most likely to get what he wants by flattering him. "I would be surprised if Vladimir Putin offers any concessions in exchange for restoring what Russia sees as its inalienable rights," Dmitry Trinin, director of the Carnegie Moscow Center, told the Associated Press. "If no agreement is reached, Russia will take retaliatory measures, which could trigger new U.S. moves." Trump's deal-making skills and his electoral victory are especially ripe for the complimenting, foreign leaders have found, although Putin is less likely to bring up the latter than other people in positions of power who have sat across from the billionaire. A close ally of Syria and Iran, Trump called on Russia from Poland to cease its destabilizing activities in Ukraine and elsewhere and its support for hostile regimes in his most forceful remarks on the subject yet during a Thursday speech. "Russia must choose to join the U.S. and its allies in their fight against common enemies and in defense of civilization itself," Trump said. "Putin's government is presently aligned with powers that seek to test our will, undermine our confidence, and challenge our interests," Trump stated. "To meet new forms of aggression, including propaganda, financial crimes, and cyber warfare, we must adapt our alliance to compete effectively in new ways and on all new battlefields," he declared. Russia has made no indications that it would be willing to sell out Assad in order to take out ISIS. To the contrary, it has continued to work with the ruling class in the face of vicious assaults on women and children. Trump's attitude coming into office had been to let the civil war in Syria resolve itself. A chemical weapons attack in April that killed 89 changed his mind. These heinous actions by the Assad regime cannot be tolerated. "The United States stands with our allies across the globe to condemn this horrific attack and all other horrific attacks, for that matter," he said during a news conference the following day. As Trump dropped bombs on the facility in Syria where the attack was launched from several days later, he urged all civilized nations to join the U.S. in seeking to end the slaughter and bloodshed in Syria, and also to end terrorism of all kinds and all types. Before Putin, Trump will try to manage another rocky international relationship when he meets with Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto. Peña Nieto had been scheduled to visit the White House shortly after Trump took office, but he scrapped the trip at the last minute due to disagreement with Trump over the U.S. president's insistence that Mexico pay for the wall he has vowed to build along the U.S. Mexico border to deter illegal immigration. Peña Nieto insists Mexico will not pay. Trump has vowed to tighten border security and crack down on undocumented workers and drug cartels, but he has been less firm on getting Mexico to pay for the wall. He reassured Peña Nieto in April that he would not pull out of the North American Free Trade Agreement, which involves the United States, Mexico, and Canada. But Trump said he could still withdraw if he concludes that a renegotiated pact would not produce a fair deal for all sides. The Putin meeting is the highlight of a hectic, four-day European visit for Trump, who addressed thousands of Poles in an outdoor speech in Warsaw, Poland, on Thursday. He met in Germany with Chancellor Angela Merkel, the summit host, and had dinner with two Asian allies, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and South Korean President Moon Jae-in, to discuss North Korea's aggression. The Group of 20 gathering of the world's leading rich and developing nations is the first since Trump announced that the United States would withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement, deeply disappointing Merkel and other U.S. allies who had hoped to maintain momentum in battling climate change.